Welcome. You're listening to Anchored with Grace. And I am here with,
Duke Saunders.
and I am Kathryn Davis. And we are here to talk to you about the grace that is present in life, but also the reality of the world that we're living in today. And Duke, you wanted to share a very special experience you had this week after the elections. So maybe tell us about the clip that we're about to play.
Well, the clip is awesome. I can't tell you about this clip. This clip is talks about the when people heard that Biden won the election, they went Bianca's. They loved it. They cheered. They partied. They were just people that were having a good time in Brooklyn, New York, Prospect Heights, Brooklyn, New York, and it was excellent. No issues. All race of people they came and they indulged and had a great time.
Yes, I had a similar experience. I happened to be meeting a friend at the um, food market on Grand Army Plaza. And at the same time, well, this was earlier in the day, but as I was leaving the house, people were screaming and carrying on. And it was like I hadn't listened to the news, but I knew that um, he had won because people were so excited. I was surprised and I loved the energy of it. And we're going to talk about that more. But as we get started, we're going to share this clip with you before we get into the information for everyone.
Brooklyn in the house. There we go. Brooklyn in the house. Go ahead. Up, 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 up. Hey. Brooklyn in the house. There you go, there you go, there you go. Brooklyn in the house. Lady from Manhattan. We got Brooklyn. Kings County. There you go, Kings County, Brooklyn. We're actually in Prospect Heights. Prospect Heights got it going on. Look at Prospect Heights. Jamming. Oh, oh, come on, jam. There you go.
Having a great time and meeting different people, talking and just experiencing their own personal relationships of this political climate. And I was just blown away by people expressing themselves and and sharing their political aspirations and things that they want to see happen. And by talking to people, interviewing people, and just being around people, the energy was just immense. It was just overflowing. People were just having a good time at the same time.
Yeah, it was kind of amazing. And I think that people have been so stressed out and so challenged over the last couple of months that this was yet another release of, you know, people have been waiting to exhale, as they say, just a chance to say, oh my gosh, the nightmare is over. I'm not convinced that the nightmare is over, but
I don't think any of us is convinced that the nightmare
um,
is over.
it was a moment that was very much needed for our healing. And it allowed people to be human again, to have hope again, and to begin to believe that the world could be a better place. And I suppose for those people who believed in the opposition, who believed in the Trump campaign, might have had a different energy and response to the election. But here in New York, it was a spontaneous combustion. It was just amazing. People just came out of their houses as soon as they heard the news. Cars were honking, people were screaming, people were playing instruments. When I was down at Grand Army Plaza in Brooklyn, shopping for some fruit and plums and stuff, an actual marching band came through. So people had the sense to pull it all together. Some guy was out there playing his shofar, the instrument that they do in the Hebrew temple,
Okay.
and people were just so excited, and I was quite surprised and actually very pleased with it in the sense that I really saw a healing take place, where people were letting go of their angst and letting go of their pain and letting go of their worries in that moment. Yeah, okay, things are still going on, stuff is coming down the road, but for that moment everybody was alive and awake in the moment and just wanted to celebrate. And I felt that there was an energetic shift that was happening in the overall human community where people were definitely sighing with relief based on what they perceived to be the ominous nature of the Trump campaign and the Trump presidency. So
Yeah, I can tell
I thought
you.
it was wonderful.
Yeah, I can concur with that. I can tell you there is a shift. There's a spiritual shift that's happening in this universe, and so people are being awakened to the shift. Some of us don't understand it, but we know there's a shift. And so that energy that's coming out of this shift is just astronomical. People are moving forward with new ideas. People who have been homebound, they're starting to create their own activities. There's a shift that's happening here in this universe that is understandable to some people.
Yeah, and I think for those of us who are engaged in this spiritual work, it's a little bit unbelievable. I mean, we believe it. We've been waiting for it and waiting for it and waiting for it and waiting for it. And now that we're seeing it, it's a little bit disconcerting because it's not like anything we might have imagined. It's actually quite difficult.
But I'm going to tell you this, it's about grace, and we're anchored in grace, and that grace that we hold is a part of that shift. We can't do anything without grace.
Hmm.
And so grace is the beam of light that passes through us that allow us to conquer things and take things on. So with that being said, if we hold on to the grace that the Most High has given us, then we can move forward because it's definitely a new paradigm has arrived, and so
Hmm.
now we have to take our walks through this paradigm, this shift that's here, and I concur with that shift.
Yeah, as do I. And you're right about it being, cosmic, in the sense that the astrology has been very, very turbulent over the last year, and the events on earth have been very turbulent, and so there's something that is so far beyond us as humans that is taking place, and the only way to really get through this is to lean into that grace that you're speaking of,
Oh yeah.
to be able to say, you know what, I don't have the answers, I don't really know what's going on, I kind of know, and I fully understand that there are going to be more challenges ahead, but this allows us to say, okay, we're in this little boat being, shifted about in the cosmic river, and we have to rely upon the grace of those powers that are greater than ourselves and ride it out
Yeah.
in a way. And also, um, be truthful to ourselves, be truthful to the situation, and really begin to, I think, maybe separate a bit and become more of an observer and less deeply involved into the machinations of the politics of getting angry and taking sides. And yeah, we can see a lot of stuff is going on, a lot of stuff we don't like on both parties, but I think we have to withdraw from that a little bit and just begin to rely on ourselves, on the wisdom of the universe, the cosmos, the divine power, and our connection to that.
I uh, I agree. One thing I want to say to you though, that we're going to rely on God, right? God is within us,
Hmm.
and we're anchored in Him, and He's the one that's going to navigate this passage that we're going through. And greater that is in He, like it's as the Matrix, greater that is in He that is in He that is in the world. So we're living through this as God is living through us. And I believe that as long as we strive forward and not have any trepidation, we'll get through this because the grace will allow us, because we're anchored with grace, and it will allow us to go through this this shift that we have, that we're experiencing now.
I completely agree, and I think that this depends on us recognizing that, really, to be able to understand that we are indeed um, not in control of this situation.
Absolutely.
And as we navigate through it, we can successfully do that if we approach it with some measure of surrender,
Yes.
and also with an understanding that we don't really know what's going on. We don't understand fully what's happening in the political realm and what levels of manipulation are behind that. But we can rest assured that behind those levels of manipulation, the divine force is also in play, and that we don't have to approach this time of change with fear and trepidation. And I say this because, as much as we are indeed celebrating, especially here in New York, with this election, things are not as they seem, and all kinds of things may still arise, and all kinds of challenges will still arise. I don't think there's that much of a change that's taking place with regard to one administration to another. There are things that are changing, but there are other things that will be coming into play. And I think that we just have to be um, grounded and feel strong and connected internally to that divine grace that we are speaking of, because that's where we need to anchor ourselves, so that as the world becomes tumultuous yet again, that we are strong in our conviction and our understanding and in our approach to each other and to the situation, so that we can stay, not be drawn into the anger and not be drawn into the stress and the fear. We have to, the real work that we have right now is to be strong within ourselves, to be anchored, as you say, in grace, and also to be anchored in our truth, in the reality, in our beautiful planet, in each other as beautiful human beings, and not be drawn into the chaos that may or may not ensue.
Absolutely correct. Conviction. I love that word that you use. Conviction. Huh. Conviction, no trepidation. You're not going to live in trepidation. You're going to live bold. Conviction that you are the person that you've been waiting for.
And I think that's what it's going to take. Everybody has to kind of let go of the fear and follow that guidance that's telling you what you need to do, where you need to be, what you can contribute, Maybe you're healers, maybe you're activists, maybe you're politicians, maybe you're a mother or a grandmother or a father. We have to answer the call on how we can contribute, how we can help each other, and how we can build each other up.
So, Kathy, are you saying to listen to your inner man? Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely. The
Okay.
inner being,
The inner being. Okay. Great.
because that's where the grace is.
That is true.
And
Absolutely.
that's where we can hear the message.
Right.
It's not going to come through the internet or the news or somebody, whatever they're doing in the world. It's going to come from within you.
Yes.
And it's only when we reach inside of ourselves that we will find the answers that we truly need and the guidance that we truly need.
And sometimes you have to be silent. Be silent and allow yourself to hear that inner voice. It's there. That's the grace within. But we have to know how to be silent. And as we walk, as we are silent in life, to take an understanding of what's happening within, everything happens within. The cosmos is within you, the world is within you. So as you be quiet, as you are quiet, you can hear. Be still and allow the inner voice to direct. Of course, prayer first, then listen.
Well, I couldn't have said that better. That was beautiful. Thank you.
Amen.
So perhaps we should end this here
Okay.
and then we will be back. So please do stay tuned for Anchored with Grace
Grace.
with
Duke Saunders.
and Kathryn Davis. Stay tuned.